Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of the podcast. Yes, I'm still calling it a podcast. I don't have a name yet. That's where y'all come in. Make sure that you check out any of my social media posts or comment on here. When Kevin gets back, the number won't be two anymore. We'll be at three. So we need a new name. Um, don't really want anything with a number in it. So let's see how many people can be creative. Anyway, I'm Rick. Show, welcome back aboard. Appreciate you.
Glad to be back.
Yeah, we got another good one here today. Um, First off, how's your week been so far? Are you a KU fan?
Oh yeah, big KU fan. Loved the game last night.
Okay, so
Great game.
you're riding high right now. You're riding high. Good
Yes.
deal. Yeah, I wasn't sure about that, so I figured I'd ask you. I mean, I don't really have but one minor thing on the docket that's sports heavy, and we'll get to that later because it's not really a sport thing, but more so a gender
Right.
thing. But
Right.
for all you guys out there that are watching this on YouTube, make sure that you leave us a like, share, subscribe. That way we can continue to grow and hopefully get bigger and better every week. All right, without further delay, let's go on ahead and get into it. And our first topic, my favorite topic, movies. Um, so, summer movies that are coming up. Are there any summer movies that you want to see that you can't wait for? Me, myself, I've got two on the top of my list. I want to see Thor Love and Thunder. Big comic book movie fan, so I can't wait to see that. But after that trailer dropped last week, I I, I want to see that new Top Gun Maverick movie too. It looks like it's
Oh
gonna
yeah,
be
most
good.
definitely. That's on my list. Top
What else
Gun's
you got on
definitely
your
on my
list?
list. Well, besides all the superhero movies, I mean, there's quite a few coming out. You got that Doctor Strange and the Multiverse. That's
Yeah,
going to be a good one.
that's true.
Thor, Love and Thunder. I'm looking forward to that. And then there's one. I think it's not coming out till September, later in the year, but DC's Black Adam with The Rock. So
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to seeing that.
heard that one got pushed back though, and
Uh,
I worry about DC movies because they go through so many changes over there at DC. It's weird.
yeah, but they narrowed it. I mean, if they should have kept Zack Snyder in the mix. Because have you watched both versions of Justice League?
Yes, I own both versions. Actually, on my Rewind, Relive, and Review movies and music channel, I did a comparison to both versions of Justice League. And by the way, the however many hour cut, I believe it's 4 hours from Zack Snyder, far superior version.
Oh yeah, Zack Snyder's is much better. Put everything kind of in a great perspective compared to the first one. First one was sugar coated, I think.
Yeah,
Um,
and I don't like the way they did Henry Cavill as far as Warner Brothers. It's like they just like here you had one little movie and a few cameos here and that's it. We never got to see a Man of Steel 2, and 1 month they say it's on again, 1 month they say it's back off again. We never got to see the solo Ben Affleck Batman movie. What's up with that?
thank God. I didn't like him as Batman.
I think he did great as an older Batman.
He did okay. I just didn't like him. I think if honestly, I think if they were going to do an older Batman, they should have brought Michael Keaton back into it.
Well, a lot of people agree with you because he is coming back in the
Well, I heard he's
Flash
going to be
movie.
on the Black. I heard he's going to be on or he's the Batman Beyond. Is what he's the Batman he's going to be playing,
Well, it's going to be interesting. I mean,
if I'm not mistaken.
his name is attached to so many things because of rumors and stuff. So, hey, whatever he's in, it'll be good to see him in a bat suit again.
Oh yeah, most definitely. But going back to Henry Cavill, I think I agree with you. We didn't get a Superman 2 or Man of Steel 2. And he played that part pretty good. I think, um, I think if you look at the Superman character, in my personal opinion, he's synonymous up there with Christopher Reeves. I mean, when you
Yeah.
picture the actual guy. But I also heard that he could play the next Wolverine as well in the X-Men series.
Wow. You know what? I don't want to say that I don't see that fit because obviously I do see
Hugh
that fit.
Jackman.
Hugh Jackman, we didn't see it, but he played the role wonderfully. However, the first knock on Hugh Jackman was, "Oh my God, he's too tall." Now, what are you going to say about Henry Cavill, who's a little bit taller?
Yeah, I really don't think that you're gonna worry about that once the live action starts. Honestly, I mean, you are gonna have some guys that are the stickler to the character. But I think overall it'll be okay.
The one saving grace is Marvel movies cast brilliantly. They very, very rarely have a misstep when they cast anybody. So
Agree, agree,
I'll give them props until it's time not to.
exactly. And then the other movie on my list that I'm really looking for to see is the finale to the Jurassic World that's coming out. So I'm
Yes, I
looking
forgot
forward
that
to
was
seeing
coming.
that.
Yeah, that one looks good. And it looks like they put everybody who's been in any Jurassic Park movie is in this one. Jeff
Yes,
Goldblum is back. Sam Neill is
and
back.
the two cats from the very first one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be really cool. I'm kind of interested in kind of seeing how it plays out since you know theoretically all the dinosaurs are just roaming free now. See a raptor running down the street, as you're taking your dog out to use the restroom.
I am wondering how that would work though, because if you think about it, in today's world, you're just not going to see that roaming around. Uh, maybe in a rural area. So I take it back. Maybe in a rural area where there's a lot of land and they could, hide out, but not in the urban area.
No, I think if they're in an urban area, the people would take it amongst themselves to get rid of them because they're
Oh
not
yeah.
bulletproof.
Oh
But
yeah. It'd be a lot of people that are target practice, trophy cases, all that.
yes, sir, most definitely.
And when there's money on the line, believe me, yeah, they'll take care of that. There was another movie, and I can't even remember. Oh, well, it's not really a summer movie. It's going to be coming out pretty soon, but it caught my eye. I think it's called Everything Everywhere All the Time or something like that. It's not a superhero movie, but it's a multiverse type movie. I want to say it's got Michelle Yeoh in it, and I don't know if she plays different versions of herself or she's playing different roles. But when I saw the preview, I'm like, this is different. And this is what Hollywood needs right now, things that are different instead of rehashing the same old thing.
What's it
So
called?
I want to say it's called Everything Everywhere All the Time. You looking it up?
I just write it down so I can
Oh,
go check out the trailer or something, or look it up later when we're done here.
okay. Yeah. Yeah. You get a chance, check out the trailer on that. Um, it's very interesting. Now, one thing that kind of sucks when it comes to Hollywood, you heard about Bruce Willis is retiring.
I did hear that. Well, I didn't hear that until you had put it on the list, and then I did some research to figure out what was going on. But yeah, I did read about that this morning.
Yeah, apparently he's got aphasia and he's starting to decline. Now, I've heard a lot of reports that it has been happening for a while and it's been covered up in his last few movies. And, that's
What was
sad to
his last
hear.
movie?
He did a lot of stuff that went straight to DVD, those type movies. I can't tell you his last Hollywood movie because the last thing that I seen him in was Expendables 2, but I know he had one or two movies come out after that.
Mm-hmm.
But to have him not in a Hollywood movie, that's going to be kind of sad. I mean, let's face it, Bruce is not one of the greatest actors of our time, but he's in a lot of fun movies. And,
especially for our generation. Yes.
For better or for worse, one of the greatest Christmas movies ever, Die Hard.
Yes, sir.
Let's just call it what it is. I mean, yes, it kicked off 4 or 5 sequels. Any movie that does that has to be a good movie. Yep. And I'm not gonna lie, Die Hard is a staple in my movie collection. So
every time it's on, I'm watching it.
Yes, sir. And it's sad to say that he will be missed, especially knowing that he's still around. He just won't be able to grace us on the silver screen. And it's just
right.
Unfortunately, all a part of that getting old thing. Father Time catches up to all of us in one way or another.
Yeah, like we spoke last week, Father Time is undefeated.
Ain't he though? Sad thing is, ain't nobody getting out of life alive. So no, one thing he can say, Bruce left his mark. And if we could all be so lucky as to leave a mark, I'll take it. Now, I don't know what kind of mark I would leave, but hey, I would try.
You've left a mark. Your ripple might not be as big.
Well, let's hope so. Now, do you have a favorite Bruce Willis movie?
Favorite? No. I mean, I like quite a few. I mean, a few of his stuff. I loved him in Pulp Fiction, but I'm a Quentin Tarantino guy.
Yeah.
And then where you got to see a different side of his acting was in what's that movie? I See Dead People movie. What's the name of that one?
Oh, The Sixth Sense.
Yeah, that one. He different side of what we're used to seeing him, blowing stuff up and shooting cops and robbers and stuff to play. That was actually a really good movie. I liked him in those other movies that Midnight Shyamalan had where we were the spinoffs of Glass and all that, where he played the superhero basically. I liked him in those as well.
I'm going to tell you one that I really like. Not a action or superhero thing. I mean, had a little action when we first saw him on TV, Moonlighting.
Yeah,
he was very good on that. He had that.
I never really got into that show, but yeah, I heard that's where he first broke into the big.
His sense of humor is what helped that show move along. It's too bad the two stars couldn't get along at the end, but that's
not the way it goes.
Yep. All right. Speaking of life and living, I came across something from Money Talks News. 7 hobbies that will help you live longer. So I'm going to read these and we're going to see if we're doing these things. And if not, what can we do to help live longer? The first one's pretty easy. Reading. And I get that. If you devote a lot more time to reading, that stimulates the brain, yada, 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 and such. I will say this, I'm not the biggest reader in the world, especially, since I take on so many projects outside of work. I really don't have a lot of time to read a lot of things unless I'm reading up for a particular show that I'm doing so that I can get ready for it. And I got dozens of books, and I know that I need to get with the program. So one of the things I'm going to do is try to make a little bit more time in my daily schedule to get some reading in. How about you?
I love to read. I'm definitely a bookworm, but thank God for Audible books too, because I use that as the
Yeah.
same, when I'm, walking my miles or whatever, or just cruising in the car to pick up the kids or something, that's I'm listening slash reading to a book, at least 3 or 4 times a day. So
Now, the second thing on this list, I'm probably not going to do because I don't have a green thumb. Gardening. That's a Heather thing in this household, not a Ricky thing. So I'm going to leave that one to her. I just, I don't garden.
so why do they think that that helps you live longer?
Well, it
Is it
says
because you're
here,
eating what you're planting or what?
well, not just that, but you're taking time to take care of something. And
Okay.
because you're taking care of it, you're discovering what needs that those plants have, whether it's food plants or just basic pottery plants. It just says a lush green atmosphere can enhance and extend life. So being at one with nature is part of that, I guess.
Gotcha.
Now, I think we can get down with number three, cooking.
Huh. Yeah, most
Cooking.
definitely.
And it's something that I'm trying to do a little bit more of because one, take some of the stress off the wife. Let me handle that. Let me make a few things. Now, I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes I kind of take the man way out and like, I'll just throw it on the grill. But I'm trying to do more in the pans and the skillets as well. How about you?
Oh yeah, man. I When I was a kid, my dad told me I'd never find a woman dumb enough to cook and clean for me. So I had to learn how to cook at a young age. Boy, was he stupid though, because I did find one that was dumb enough to stay with me all these years. But yeah, no, I love to throw down in the kitchen, you know. Especially I like looking up new recipes and trying them, And if you can follow directions, anybody can cook, basically.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I am not brave enough to experiment yet, so I'm still kind of getting there. So I definitely need those directions. Now I know
Oh yeah,
Heather, she'll
that's
she'll go in and she'll substitute. Oh, I can substitute this with this and that with that. I'm like, no,
yeah,
no.
I'm not that good either. If I don't have the direction, what it needs in there, the recipe itself, yeah, I'm not gonna mess with it. If I
Yeah.
find something I'm gonna cook for dinner, I'm going to the store to buy those ingredients and that's it. Come
Yes.
on, cook it.
Now, number four on the list, listening to music. I got that one down pat.
Yeah, I agree. I listen to a lot of music as well. So.
And the thing I like best, I love all different kinds of music. One day I could listen to hip hop. One day I could listen to classic rock. Um, Next I can listen to pop or top 40. It doesn't matter as long as it sounds good to me. And I feel that my openness to listen to all different types of genres, not only does it make more music available to me, I appreciate music more. One of
I
these
agree.
days, I might even actually master the guitar. We will see.
You can do anything you put your mind to, my friend.
That's true. I didn't see this one coming for number five. Volunteering. It says one of the best ways to do good for yourself is to help others, but only if your motives are pure. I never gave it a thought until I had read this. volunteering, that's a good idea. And one of the things I learned a long time ago, the phrase goes, do something to help someone who cannot help you in return. And they are right. That is a good feeling. It doesn't matter if they can do something for you or not. If they can't do anything for you, that's even better. That way you know you did it out of the kindness of your heart and not expecting anything in return.
Yep, I completely agree. That's something I need to do more of.
Yeah, and I know a good example around Christmas time. I know a lot of people that will go down to community centers and help give away turkeys, or they'll make food for the homeless and things like that. Um, I know that when we're not in that festive holiday season, there's a lot of people that do a lot less. And I wish there was ways that communities could get together more often and do more stuff for people. Maybe,
Yeah,
just
I think
maybe, something we can come up with later.
heck yeah, I think the problem with like, and this is just going on my little soapbox here, but I think most people want recognition for,
Hmm.
you know, them volunteering. Uh, People don't have a heart of service very much anymore. At least you don't see it as much as, you know, our older generation did.
That's true. The sixth thing on the list was walking. And we have a habit, especially in the warmer weather months, going for walks every now and then, at least a couple days a week. And we don't check the time on it. We don't check the distance. We just walk and talk until we decide, hey, let's turn around and head home. And
Hmm.
I know that when we lived in the Kansas City area, we could go for miles just walking. There was a park by where we were that, oh, I know it was about 2.5 miles out and then 2.5 miles back. So on a good day, we could do that with ease. Now we're a little older now, but we still like to get out there and walk. You do much walking?
I need to get back into it. I was doing a whole lot last year and then stopped. I'm need to get back
That's
into it.
right. You were on the change forum. You were
Yes,
posting them. Yeah.
I need to get back on there and make myself accountable again.
The weather's getting nice.
Yeah, when you know when it turns bad, I'm just not a treadmill guy, so I got to find an alternate. You know, when I can't actually go outside,
I
need to
don't
find an
blame you.
alternative.
I can't stand treadmills. I don't like running nowhere.
Right,
If I'm going somewhere, I got to be going somewhere.
exactly.
Now, when we hit these 70-degree days, I got no excuse. I'm going to get out there. I'm going to do more, whether it be walk, run, or both.
Right.
The next one on the list is owning a pet. And I can kind of see that now, being with
Do
Heather.
kids count?
If that's the case, we're 11 years strong. But no, I didn't have a pet until I got with Heather because she had a cat. So we've always had a cat, and our cat is one of the family now. So that's I can see how that goes along with gardening, caring for something. So
Yeah.
that makes sense. I like that. Do you have any?
No. Uh, my youngest, she's allergic, and Susan, she's just not a pet person. So if
Now,
I want to go, I have to go see other people's dogs or stuff to get my pet fixed.
well, no, it's not just dogs and cats. Now, you could have a fish tank or maybe a bird, any kind of pet.
I mean, I used to own a snake, and I had a ball python for years.
Now, I suppose that counts, but that goes against my philosophy for pets. Anything that sees you as its next meal
Oh, they're
probably isn't.
They don't get big enough to ever see you as their next meal, so you're good.
Oh, okay. I'll take your word for it then.
So a ball python, probably a female, probably can get as long as 6 feet, but that's not big enough to eat a human.
Oh,
And I
okay.
had a male, and I think when he maxed out about 5.5 feet, about the width of my arm. I had
About the
him for a
width of
couple
your arm.
years. Good pet. It was a good pet, man. Never made no noise. It was great.
I guess that would be true. I mean, what noise would they make?
You feed it about once every 3 months.
That's it?
Yeah, the real ball pythons are very finicky eaters, so you just you know they eat more when they're younger, but as they grow bigger and older, about every 3 months, and hell, sometimes even then, they might wait 4 or 5 months before they eat in between meals. I
Hmm.
have I have some pictures of I put a rat in with my snake to feed it, and snake just didn't feel like eating, so it just coiled up and was in a ball, and the rat got on top of the snake, and both of them were asleep.
Wow.
The rat was actually laying on the snake like a bed. So I was like, man, it's a bold ass rodent.
So what happened when the snake got hungry?
Oh, by then I had to move the rat out because if I keep it in there, it will actually attack the snake just out of defense. So I just had to remove it, kill the rat, throw it away.
Oh, I never knew that about the rats. Okay.
Yeah, if you leave them in there, like they tell you, you don't want to necessarily live feed your snake because the bigger the rodent, they'll fight back. So when it wraps up, to kill it, in that process, they'll bite if they can at the snake and tear it up.
Mm.
So they tell you to stun the rat or whatever. I never did. I just put the rat in there. When I removed everything from the cage, the snake knew what was about to happen, and hardly when it was ready to eat it, that rodent or whatever I put in there didn't last very long.
Gotcha. Hmm. Made me rethink my stance on reptilian
I mean,
pets.
they're cool pets. I mean, but you have to be comfortable with dealing with them.
Yeah.
I never was bitten, but I mean, constricting snakes have hundreds of teeth that are recurved and razor sharp. So I mean, once they grab a hold of you, you can't just yank your whatever's been bit because it'll rip you
Oh
up.
yeah.
So.
Yeah, I ain't ready for that then. All
But no,
right,
I
now.
never had any issues, and then it only escaped one time. So
How did your wife feel about that?
she didn't know till after I found
Well played, my friend. Well played.
it. Then
Um,
she made me get rid of
I bet she did.
it. She did.
All right, now our next topic. This one was a funny one. How to spot someone pretending to be wealthy. An elegance and excuse me, for our English speaking audience, an elegance coach reveals 6 traits people use to appear richer than they are, including a perfect Instagram feed and showing off in conversation. And I thought that one was pretty doggone funny. I'm not gonna go through the personality traits because we all know who they are. We've seen things like that often, but it didn't hit me until I read the article because there are a lot of people, especially on social media, that they only post the good stuff. And when they post the good stuff, they make it sound just so great, yada, yada, yada. And you don't hear from them when anything's going downhill. And it's always got to be, I'm doing this, I'm wearing that, I'm eating here. And I kind of got a big chuckle out of it because not only is this a real thing, but I see how many people just on one social media platform alone are doing this. And I kind of had to, get a good chuckle out of it. How often do you see that on social media?
Man, I see it all the time, and hell, not even in social media. I mean, you see it by just the way people are present themselves in public, living beyond their means. Um,
Yeah.
I work. My wife worked for a millionaire, and she ran his company. I mean, but you would have never known he was a millionaire. And that's most people that are, unless they're, I'm, well, I've never been rich, so I can't really relate to it. But uh, you know, in my view is, unless you're like a celebrity or something of that nature, you're going to show your fine cars and things like that. But regular old millionaire business, in manufacturing stuff, he's going to drive that Civic, Honda Civic, for years, and
Yeah.
that type of
The
stuff.
Bill
Because
Gates of the world
yeah,
driving
they
a
don't have
small
nothing to
car,
prove. The
wears a
Adam
flannel
Sandlers of
shirt
the
and
world.
jeans.
Yes,
Yeah. And meanwhile, you have the person who may make above average wage trying to wear the nicest stuff, the most expensive stuff, and always showing off. And at the end of the day, it's kind of like keeping up with the Joneses.
exactly. It's like, who are they really trying to impress, and what's the point? I mean, I think we all did it growing up in a certain phase in our life, want to
Yeah, to a certain extent,
present
one way or the
ourselves
other.
in whatever aspect more than another. But as you mature and get older, you're like, really, what are you trying to, who are you trying to impress? Because you're basically lying to yourself. You got to look yourself in the mirror.
Yeah, I saw this post on social media. I want to, maybe it was Facebook, but it goes like this. It says here, as you get older, you'll realize that a $300 watch and a $30 watch both tell the same time. A
That's
Michael
right.
Kors wallet and a Forever 21 wallet hold the same amount of money. A $300,000 house and a $100,000 house host the same loneliness. A Ford will also drive you as far as a Bentley. True happiness is not found in materialistic things, it comes from love and laughter found with each other. Stay humble because the holes dug for us in the ground are all the same size.
You had me until you said the Ford's going to take you as far as a Bentley. I have to disagree with that. Ford is the acronym for fix or repair daily. That's basically what it is.
I've had my fair share of Fords, so I do agree. But I think in the context of
Oh
full
yeah, in
tank
the
of gas,
context, that's
yeah,
yeah, no truer words have been spoken.
yeah. So it is just funny, you see it on the daily, like you said, not just in social media, but in everyday life. But once I read the article, it's like, oh wow, it is out there more prevalent than I had thought.
And social media just magnifies it, makes it worse. This
It
this need
does.
to show that I'm different than what people think, or I'm more of what than I am. Like the TikTok stuff. And I just seen on TV commercial the other day how now they have a new reality show about who's going to be the next TikTok star. It's like,
Really?
yeah, it's just like, they have all these that, like, the judges are these big time TikTokers that make money off of their videos, which, more power to them. God bless you. I mean, that's why this country is great. But I mean, that's part of the problem in my
Yes,
old times, being an old guy,
you're
this
not
younger
wrong.
generation.
You're definitely not wrong. Okay, now I know at the top of the show I said that I was going to talk about one particular thing in sports, and it wasn't really sports related. I mean, it is, but it isn't. A couple weeks back, I believe it was in college, women's college swimming. there was a man that won, that beat out the rest of the girls. Yeah, you heard me right. There's a man. But he was able to qualify because he said that he um, recognized himself as a woman. We're taking it a little bit too far in society.
So before we're going further, I have a question
Yes.
because I know this. I know the story you're talking about. So our topic is transgender. Now, that guy, did he just identify as a female, or did he actually had gone through the transgender operation?
And see, that's the thing. I think if memory serves, he just identifies as, because once you go through the process, that can slightly change some things. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, once you go through the process and remove the testosterone or whatever, and maybe that levels the playing field. I mean, I don't know. I've
Now, I
never
didn't go
wanted to
that
be a
deep in the
female,
story,
so I
so I
don't know.
could be wrong. But well, let's just look at it both ways. Let's first say he hasn't gone through the process. Then it becomes, this guy can't beat other guys, so he's just beating up on the girls so that he can win. That's what I get out of that. And if you have gone through the process, that means that you are 100% legit. I mean, there's a whole nother story there. What you start off as, you'll always be in some people's eyes. But if you have the traits, the personality, the thought process, the physicality of a woman, and you're in a woman's sport, or vice versa, we're not just singling out women, then it becomes a whole different thing.
Yeah, this is a touchy subject. I mean,
Yeah,
no matter what you say, you're going to rub somebody the wrong way because
that is
that's
true.
the world we live in. But luckily, this is our forum,
Yeah,
and we can say what we want to say. If people don't like what we say, they can hit the stop button or fast forward to the next subject. So here's what's this, and so I have a hard time with all the titles that are out there for everything, whether it be, identify myself as a animal, because you have those out there. My daughter was telling me about all this. Like there's
really.
so many different genders that she says, the transgender, male, female, too many to list that I can't write down or can't come off the top of my head. But I tried to explain to her, I said, what's really cool about animals is, like we take our male dog, and we get him neutered. He doesn't become a female dog. He's still a male dog.
Yep.
I don't understand how, if you were born a male, you can compete in a female sport. I don't get it. And especially if there was no surgical procedure beforehand, for him to be, and even then I don't necessarily agree with it, but if he is like still male, like all the way through physically, how is that fair?
Yeah, and
I don't
I think a lot of people lashed out because of that. Um, and I'm going to say this: had he came in third or fourth, it probably wouldn't have been as big an issue. But to come in first and dominate, that's the eye raising thing.
right, because he obviously has a physical advantage. for whatever reason that is in that particular race against those particular swimmers, he obviously had a physical advantage.
Yeah, and I'm willing to bet no matter how much estrogen you give him, there's still a lot more testosterone in there than what would be in the other swimmers.
Yeah, I mean,
Bigger,
yeah,
better, stronger, faster. And full disclosure, we take nothing away from female athletes.
no, not at all.
But what we're saying is when the mismatch is that one-sided, I don't think you can hide behind a term.
Yeah, like where do you draw the line? Like when is enough enough? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I mean,
I blame society on it because, you know, without society, we could say, hey, the rules are clear. If you're a man, you're in the men's division. If you're a woman, you're in the women's division. But because society is so sue happy, oh no, I identify as this. If you don't let me compete, I'm going to sue you. I'm going to put a judgment against you. And, you know, therein lies the problem. People are too afraid to stand up for something, and other people take advantage of that.
and people are too afraid to upset other people.
Yes.
Like I have nothing against anyone that chooses to be transgender. That is your choice. Again, that is the beautiful thing about this world that we live in and this country that we live in. You have that choice. And if you have the means to make that a reality, then God bless you. But I
Absolutely.
don't agree with it. You know, I have nothing against homosexuality, but I don't agree with it.
What's the saying? Love the person, hate the sin. I
Right.
mean,
You know, and it's not my position to judge anyone anyway. That's God's position. But I'm
exactly.
pretty sure he made male and female. There wasn't, you know, male A, male B, male C, and vice versa. Any and an outie for a reason, you know.
Yes.
Um,
What's that old church saying? He made Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve.
not that's right. That's right. And but if you choose to live that lifestyle, you feel that that is who you are, God bless you. I'm gonna love you still. I
Right.
just don't necessarily have to agree. I'm sure there are fit people on this planet that are muscle bound that think that my fat ass is grotesque and overweight, and but they still gonna love me, but they don't agree with my lifestyle, you know um so that's kind of where I equate it. But
And at the end of the day, we are all different, no matter
oh
what.
yeah, oh
You are
yeah.
not going to find two people that are like. We are all different, and we are all made a certain way. And who are we to say you can do this, but you can't do that, or you can't do this, go here, go there? You know, we can't do that. That's not the right way to go about it, whether we agree with
True.
it or not.
But
And
I do, but when it comes to the sports, I think that yes, you can say you
yeah,
can do this or you can't do that.
and see,
I
that's where I think
mean,
we fail within the sport. There has to be a precedent or a ruling, and I think that those governing bodies are too afraid to set those precedents.
but to me, it's the whole separation of the sports themselves. You have the NBA, you have the WNBA.
Yeah.
If it's okay for everybody, then let's just make one league and we'll be all co-ed.
Wouldn't that be a mess? Because let
Right.
me tell you what would happen if that happened. You're going to have one owner who wants all men because he wants to dominate. Then the
Yep.
lawsuits come. They didn't draft me and I was the number one pick. They didn't draft me because they didn't want any women. Lawsuit.
Yep.
Or yeah, it would just get out of hand there.
But that's why there's separation of sports between the two genders. So,
Now, on
little
a
Susie
very,
wants to play
very tiny
basketball.
level, you have maybe you can count on your hand 4 or 5 women that actually play in Division 1 college football. 9 times out of 10, those are the kickers.
Yeah, they're not playing an actual position that's gonna get contact.
Yeah. Now, when I see a female dominate at tight end, then it's time to open those doors. But
Right.
until then, you
But
have
then
the
on the other
women's league.
side, you're gonna have women that say, well, you're gonna have to open the doors for me, allow you to show you.
Yeah. And you know what we didn't even talk about on the flip side? You might have men say, okay, let me play in the women's league.
Yeah, I don't get that at all.
I mean, yeah, I mean, part of that is the man that can't dominate in the men's league,
Yeah.
but he's
Let
trying
me
to
show
get
you
over
I'm
in the
better
girls.
than all the women as the only man in the sport. Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
So believe me, I love women, but and not trying to sound sexist because it's not going there at all. There's a reason why certain things are for men and certain things are for women. It's not a negative against any woman whatsoever. Believe me, Venus and Serena Williams will kick my ass on the tennis court.
Right.
They'll probably kick just about 90% of men's asses on the tennis court. But the bottom line is they are on the women's circuit, not the men's. And that's just the way it is. And I really hated to say just the way it is because that's kind of a cop out. But
it's the truth.
yes,
I mean, it's I mean it is what it is. That is the truth. That right, wrong, or indifferent. That's the truth. Very touchy subject though, because you can't speak on this subject without taking somebody off.
that's true. And if you are listening to the podcast on your podcast feed or you're watching it on YouTube, drop us a comment and let us know what you think about this subject. Let us know how you feel about it. Do you agree with us? Do you have a different point of view? Don't be afraid to give us your point of view because we might read it and be like, that's another facet that we didn't see. So what do they say? It's two sides to every story. So obviously, because we're coming at it from one direction, we may not see something that's in another direction. And if you don't want to comment on social media, drop us a line at the Two Dudes Podcast at yahoo.com. Yes, it's still the Two Dudes Podcast at yahoo.com until we get an actual new name. All right, big show.
Yes, sir.
We got one more topic before we get out of here.
Okay.
And I'm looking at these decades, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and even the early 2000s, 00 through 09. Which do you feel is the greatest decade? And it doesn't have to be for a particular reason. In other words, I'm not just talking about music or movies or fashion, an entire mix, a whole cultural mix. And before you answer, I want to say the 80s. And the reason why I say the 80s is because it had all that. And I think we as a society were the most creative then, with the 90s being not too far behind. But you might have a different take on that.
No, I agree. I was going to say the 80s just because it was that 10-year difference was the perfect transition from the 70s to the 90s.
Yeah.
With all the, you figure that's where all the computers come into play. And then Wall Street was a big thing in the 80s. People were making money hand over fist. It's also, though, a bad part of the 80s is that's where we learned, how to go into debt for the rest of your life as well.
Yeah,
Because
that was
everything
pretty
was
bad.
okay to charge back in the 80s, and paid for it.
Plastic fantastic. Buy now,
Yeah.
pay later.
And growing up, I was graduating in the early 90s. you graduated in the 80s, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I came
So
out in '88.
yeah. So I mean, you're about 5 or 6 years older than I am, I would assume. I'm 47.
Yeah, and I'm 50,
Graduated in
51. Will be 52 in a couple weeks.
93. So growing up, 80s was great. 90s, I was in my high school year, so a lot of great memories then. But I would say 80s if I had to pick, narrow it down.
Yeah, and let me tell you the reason why I discount the other decades. I'm gonna start with the 2000s, and you can really go from 2000 all the way up to present. There's too many remakes, rehashes, and redos on stuff. So that alone, I'm not just talking about movies or music. I'm talking about everything. I mean, even fashion. We're bringing this back. We're bringing that back. This is a throwback. Okay, that means it's been done before. If it's been done before, the original is always the best. Throw that out. Now you go to the 90s. The 90s, they were an extension of the 80s. There was a lot of excess, but I don't think the creativity was as high. Um,
I would
and that
agree.
may be due to overkill or over excess or over accessibility to things. Whatever you want to put your finger on to discount that, that's the reason why it happened. Now jump over the 80s and go to the 70s. Because I was born in 70, from 70 to 80, I mean, that's just the first 10 years of my life. So I obviously wasn't able to take it all in the same
Kind
way
of hard to
somebody
speak on it,
older.
right? Yeah.
Exactly. But from what I do know about it, um, it was a very good time, very, but I don't think that obviously we didn't have the technology that came with the 80s boom. So that kind of takes away from the creativity. And I just look at creativity because as a society, the arts, that makes up who we are as a people in anything. And that determines so much, whether it be just building designs, architecture. Who doesn't love great architecture? And a lot of that came in that 80s boom. Fashion. Everybody either had a beaded jacket, a thriller jacket, or you wore that Miami Vice suit. Everybody. And if you
And you had
didn't,
some sort of parachute pants and breakdancing gear.
yes. And if you didn't have any of that, I know a lot of women had them big, thick leggings, or you wore them jeans with the
The
big
hair
ass
that came
holes in
up to
them.
here.
Oh, the
Yep.
big hair. Yeah. Yeah. Don't get me started on the big hair. Yeah. When I had hair, I had, the high top fade. I had that flat top. So I know, or that Jerry curl. So it was all there. So yeah, that's why I got to give it to the 80s.
Yeah, now I would say for me, like music wise, the early 90s would be the best for me. Um,
And I can
especially,
see that because I think that's, when you come into your own as you are, that's probably going to determine which decade you think is the best too, because you get so much out of that.
yeah. I mean, it's like now we listen to our kids' music and you're like, man, that sounds like crap. But
It
I
either
remember,
sounds like crap or it sounds like something that was already done before they just remade it.
yeah. But I remember, my parents and when I was listening to my stuff when I was a kid going, oh, that sounds like crap, So I think it's also just the generation
Yeah.
as you listen to it. But I'm just thankful that, like, when we're old and we turn on golden oldies, songs like, I'm in love with a stripper aren't going to be what they're playing, as the golden oldie, So I'm thankful for that. We're going to get some Boys to Men stuff like that, some old Michael Jackson stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, this, you know, hit them up from Tupac's not going to be a golden oldie that it's going to be from our generation per se.
Probably not. Probably not. And I love me some Pac, but don't think we're gonna hear that on the oldie station. But hey, real quick, everybody, tell us what your favorite decade is and why. Drop us a comment or leave us an email. Appreciate it. Hey, Show, you got anything before we go out?
Nope, just continue to love each other, man. That's all we can do. One
Yes,
thing that
sir.
I've learned this year and learned it the hard way is life is very fragile and very short, and we don't know the day that our Lord's going to call us home. So be sure to love your friends and family, and don't go one day without letting them know how you truly feel.
Yeah, definitely don't take anything for granted. All right. That's going to wrap it up for this week's show. Appreciate you, Ryan. Appreciate you so much. Real quick, for those that don't know, tuning in, like, where's Kevin? Kevin's doing his fatherly thing. It's soccer season, so he's off for another week. But we are joined by Ryan, aka Big Show, and not as a fill-in. Ryan is a regular on here now. So that's the reason why we are changing the name of the show. Because once Kevin comes back, I can't run a 3-man deal and call it the Two Dudes Podcast. So once again, let us know if you got any ideas for the name. I'll give you some credit. We are sitting back behind the scenes, shooting texts and messages to each other with possible names. Hey, one of these days, something is going to inspire me, or I'm going to get something from somebody, and I'm be like, "That's it."
That's it. Yep.
Yeah. But until then, I'll just take my time with it. It may come tomorrow, it may come next week, but hey, whenever it comes, I'll know that it'll be the right thing. All right, we're going to get out of here. Once again, like, comment, subscribe, share. Big Show, appreciate you, man. Can't wait to do it again next week.
We'll see you then.
All right, everybody, stay positive, stay blessed. Take care.